Hey, so you've probably seen, but we are recording this webinar just so we can share it with everyone afterwards, and we will send around the link. So welcome to the CX and IoT webinar. Really thrilled to have you on board with us. We're the MKL team, so it's Mark and I. We'll do a bit of an intro in a moment or two. I did send out on the notes about joining Slido. I don't know if everyone's managed to do that just yet. If not, you can join with the link here or with the QR code. And when you join, just put this code in here, 88819.
And you'll be able to ask questions.
You will, yeah. And we've got some in there already that people have already sent through, which has been really helpful, but we'll try and answer them as we go through. And we've got a Q&A section right at the end anyway, so we'll make sure that we cover everyone off.
And feel free to ask anything you like. There's no subject that is taboo.
Yeah. I know what Mark's like. That's what that noise was. Okay, everyone managed to get onto Slido okay? Wicked. Okay. So I'll do a quick intro for Mark and then he will do a quick one for me. So Mark's our MD, our illustrious leader. He's got an he's got an MBA and a Master's in Sustainability at Cambridge. Flash us that pinky ring, Mark.
That just means I'm pretentious.
So he's got a strong background in large blue chip companies like Whitbread, etc. He's done program delivery, transformation, lots of leadership. He's in the RAF. He's done a lot. And Mark set up MKL 2.5 years ago. So this is his baby. And he also has his brother John as a business partner in the business as well. Anything else you'd like to add to that, Mark?
Plenty, but my ego will take up all the time of the webinar, so let's move on. Oh, and it's my turn to introduce Sharon. So Sharon is our CXO. I didn't know what CX was 6 months ago. I think this is one of the key things to the webinar. Very new subject to me. The reason why Sharon is our CXO is because I was so blown away by Sharon's passion for the customer, and that transition through from her background in EasyJet to Whitbread at the same time. If you don't know who Whitbread are, they own big hotel chains, and they did own Costa Coffee in the UK until they sold it to Coca-Cola. Sharon's strong in program delivery, in big technical programs, which is some of the things we've got going on at the moment. But where the real standout shine point is for Sharon is in customer experience. And as we go through this webinar, we'll be able to show you some of the things that we've done, especially within MKL, but more importantly, how those work quite nicely with IoT, and we'll be able to show you some of the strategies that we pulled together for that. So I'm very pleased to have Sharon on board. She keeps me in check more than anything. I can go off on massive tangents. I like the sound of my own voice, so I do need wrangling. I need braking like a horse, Christy, in like a Texas horse. So that's why Sharon's here to control me in that way.
Thank you for the intro there. I've just added 3 more people to join us, so welcome. We've only just started, so all we've done so far is intro Mark and intro myself. We're both from MKL. I think Luke is struggling to join. He's somewhere stuck in the waiting room trying to join us. Hopefully he'll get...
You crack on, I'll find him, Sharon.
Cool, okay, all right, let me go through. So this is our agenda. So who are MKL? So Mark is going to fly us through that in a moment or two. What is CX? What is IoT? What does a CXO do in an IoT house? You'll gather that from the things that we discuss. And then we're going to look at IoT through a human and customer focus, and then the key takeaways, which we'll all sum up as a group rather than me just repeating back everything. Does that sound all right to everybody? Cool. Great. So let's have a very quick look at Slido before we go into that. So just move this down. So everyone still see my screen?
We can see the PowerPoint, Sharon, yes.
Okay, let me just change screen share. Is that someone's dog? No?
I can make those noises if you want.
Just don't want it.
I don't know.
All right. Okay. So these are the ones with questions got in the poll so far. So help me understand how IoT can be useful for customers. Whoever put that in here is in exactly the right place, because that's the point of today. This one has asked, not really about CX, but is wondering about the approach to attracting customers. How does that work for an IoT house, and how do you advertise? So we've got a section just on that, a 5-minute section. I'm always hearing that IoT is not great from a security point of view. How do you get around that? How do you support it? What does a CX team do in an IoT company? And then what are customers' biggest fears about your technology?
That's a great one.
Yeah, I'm sure Mark will touch on that later, because that we cover off 5G as well. And from a customer point of view, that's often something that comes up as a question. So that's definitely something that we've been working on from a CX point of view, is how we work through that.
Okay.
So let's go back.
Lots of good questions.
There are, yeah, definitely. Any of them yours, Jonathan?
Not yet. I need to. I'll have a think about it.
Get cracking.
Come on, Jonathan, give us something hard.
Okay, so who are MKL? Over to you, Mark.
Well, very simply for MKL, there's different connotations of IoT companies, or IoT houses, as you might see them positioned. For us, we like to put ourselves in the digital facilities management space. What do I mean by that? Well, if you think of a retail or a hospitality company, a big hotel chain, or someone who runs restaurants, normally they have a facilities management company that looks after them. What do they normally do? They do things such as they come around, they make sure they're safe from an electrical inspection point of view, they look after their AC, they look after their HVAC systems, they look after their boilers, they do general mechanical and electrical work. So MKL was formed out of frustration, really. Myself and my business partner, John, engineers traditionally at heart, we become quite frustrated with the traditional way of how FM companies, facilities management companies, would look after their clients. We'd always think there must be a better way to do this, one that isn't very manual, one that doesn't require lots of people, one that doesn't require a man in a van. So our mission was to, or is still to, eradicate the man in a van when it comes to facilities management. So how do you do that? You do that with technology. So MKL are very much positioned in the building optimization space. So we will go to a client, we will look at their building, be that from their BMS system, building management system, which controls heating based on whichever floor the BMS is controlling, or HVAC system, which is heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. We will integrate our technology with those assets on site, and we can control them remotely. Why is that beneficial for a client? Well, if you think to change a BMS system when it comes to the end of life, that's £200,000 roughly within the UK. If we integrate our system, which is known as Renegade, the reason why we called it Renegade is if you look at the Bible, not that we're religious, but if you look at the Bible of what a renegade is, it is someone that doesn't conform to traditional ways of doing things. It likes to do something different. So very much we wanted to call our platform in that way. If we integrate Renegade with that BMS system, we can extend the life of that for over 2 years. We can make sure that they save money by not having engineers coming out to service it, because we can monitor that remotely, but also we can save them a lot of energy in terms of how that asset is performing as well. So MKL is very much in the position of building optimization, smart cities, if you've heard that saying.
Perfect, thank you, Mark. So I just want to ask a quick question then. So this is an IoT and CX webinar. And obviously the two are quite different. So it'd be really helpful for me if you can just let me know whether you know more about CX or more about IoT, just so that we can make sure that we tailor what we do. So if you can just drop in the chat, assuming that chat is working. Let's just have a look. Yeah, just drop in the chat for me, please. Whether you are a CX person or an IoT person, which one do you err towards?
I can see the chat, Sharon. I can monitor that if you like as we keep going.
Thank you. Okay, while you're doing that, I'll flick into the next side.
Don't say sorry, Christy.
Oh, I'm so hoping I win here. Oh, look, I'm so winning.
Oh, no, we got a bit of both. Yeah, Jonathan.
He says he's a CX consultant. He's so
No,
much.
now I'm taking him. He's mine.
No.
I claim him as my own.
You've got John.
Of course he is. There's a good lad.
Okay. Anyone else that hasn't had?
It's a slaughter, Sharon.
Winning.
You win. Okay.
I win. Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. John's also on CX. Right. Hands down winner. Right. Okay. So let's go to CX then before I just celebrate my win too much there. So I can't actually see my slides because I've got my faces over it. So okay, we'll just have to fill in the gaps. So very, very basic then for anyone on the call who doesn't know about CX. If you don't know about CX, then you're obviously in the right place, but you need to read up. So it's a way that a customer's treated from start to finish in every interaction that they have with your business. And even if you don't design your customer experience, they will be able to feel a version of something, whatever you put out there. And that is covered by whoever interacts with your customers, whether it's your frontline staff, whether it's the person who develops your back-end system or your front-end system, every interaction, your social media, absolutely everything that your customer touches, whether that's your newspaper advert to your IVR. So it's every single touch point. That's why customer experience is really important, and even more important that you design it properly and do it in an intentional way. And we've talked a lot recently about it being a key differentiator between yourself and your competitor. So especially if you're in a market where your product is very similar to your competitors or exactly the same, in that case, quite often the only way to differentiate yourself is via price. So then it becomes a bit of a race to the bottom. Who has the cheapest product, and how cheap is it? If that's what a customer is looking for, then the only other way, and I mean, you can do the race to the bottom on price, but all that happens is people lose out, because in the end, it's just who is the biggest boy, who can manage to keep going at the lowest price for the longest. And that person then wins the biggest competitor share, which is not ideal. So the other and better way, which of course I'm going to say because I'm in CX, is all about customer experience and how you really wow your customer so that they keep coming back to you. And that does mean that if you do it in the right way and do value add customer experience, then you can actually put your prices up even further. So you're not then competing on price, you're competing around service and the value add that your customer takes out of it. So hopefully that explains the CX side. So let's just talk about the MKL Customer Strategy. And I'm not going to go into...
Everyone take the time to read some of the phrases in this, because I think I'm confident in saying it's quite unique from a CX strategy point of view. And I'm not going to take any thunder away from Sharon, but this is how you get a CX strategy to land in an engineering business, to get engineers to listen to this rather than moon boards and dream boards and wish boards or whatever those things might be. This is how you get it to stick. But I'll shut up.
Just to say, I've no idea what a moon board or a wish board or a dream board is. That is not a CX tool. Thank you, Mark Parker.
Sorry, I'm not devaluing it. I'm just, yeah. I'm going on mute. Sorry, I'm losing you. Bye.
I'll put you in the waiting room. Right, so so this is our strategy that you can see from the 6, what are they, hexagons? Yeah, those honeycomb shapes. They are, you'll see those throughout the rest of the pack as I talk them through, but these are our fundamentals of CX. So we talk a lot about our culture. Hopefully you can feel our culture already. It's a bit of banter, it's cheeky, it's fun, but we're incredibly hardworking, and we make sure that our customers can feel that and they feel warm and welcome when they interact with us. And that then flows through everything that we deliver. So when we deliver IoT to them, we aren't just around, here's your tech. We are also really about the human factor, making sure that everything we deliver is really tailored to each customer. So that's that one there. IoT. Now this is what everything about this webinar is about. This is why we're doing this this webinar today. So IoT can be complex. People hear IoT and just go, I have no idea what it is. And then they look it up and go, Internet of Things. Okay, that doesn't help me any further. So one of our key cornerstones is how we make it easy. And we make it fast or slow, whatever you like, whatever tickles your pickle. But basically we tailor everything to that customer. And we make sure that we go along at their speed. Okay, so smashing the competition by wooing and wowing. You'll see what we do later. There's different things that we do. Then our awesome products are designed to hit the spot. That's basically wanting to know what the customer wants. And we talk about our sandbox later. You'll get to see the sandbox. Jonathan, you're obviously reading a bit and going,
Yeah, sorry, Sharon. I love this. We hire with a no BS filter. I think it's fantastic. You know, I love this.
This came direct from Mark. I cannot take any credit for this wording.
No. We're not here for giving everybody high fives and tapping each other on the back. I think this is a very diluted version to the one that I was asking Sharon to put, because I was very quickly told that this is going to go public. So the wording is toned down. But yeah, you are absolutely right, John. I think for us, that's how we work with clients. We work with our team, we work with our engineers in that way. We tell clients what we can do, but more importantly, we tell clients what we can't do. But it's always very honest and robust conversations, and you can't fake that stuff. So that's why we wanted it in there from a no bullshit point of view, really.
I love it. Love it.
And the next one, we don't polish a turd. So this is all about taking our tech and making sure that it's the very best that it can be. So we will never overpromise and underdeliver. We're all about giving you what we say we're going to give you and making sure that we smash it rather than anything else. There are no bruises on our watch. We obliterate any pain. That is completely about looking for pain points. And we've spoken to, I think John's on the call today. We've been talking to John about pain points. He loves to throw them in the mix, but this is all about looking at our processes, working out where the customers could feel some conflict or confusion, and taking those out. And I think I've got some pictures later of us doing some process mapping, which is exactly what that is for, looking through completely end to end and making sure it's completely slick. And that applies to any business. That's not an IoT house thing, but obviously from a tech point of view, it's even more important, because you can be very focused on tech and not be thinking as much about your customers you might as in a service environment. Okay, so I think that's all of those. Yeah, so let's crack on. So service behaviours, these are what underpins the strategy for a certain demographic about. So our engineers, this is what's been created for our engineers, but also we in the office live this as well to a different degree, but we're all about how we interact with our clients, making sure that we've got FaceTime, whether that's Mark, whether that's an engineer, whether that's a developer. We will be prioritizing that client and thinking about what they want right from start to finish. So let me just see if I can.
Hold on, Sharon, hold on. I think you need to read some of these out and explain them a little bit more to the guys, just to help it really hit home so people understand how we translate this to an engineer who's on site.
All right, let me go for, if the customer process is broken.
No, I think it's more.
Say it. Shush, Mark, or I'll put you out. If the customer process is broken, see it, say it, sort it, and wash your bum. So what this one is talking about, first of all, the easy bit for me to talk about is the customer process. It's up to everybody, whoever you are. If you see there's a problem with the customer, especially if you're an engineer, because you're going to go out and speaking to the customer, let us know, let your teammates know, let the next engineer know that the process isn't quite as it should be, and then fix it. It's everyone's responsibility. And then the last bit, and wash your bum, I'll let Mark explain.
It's very simple, that one, guys. It's we always talk to our engineers. We want them to be presentable on site. I'm sure that you've had workmen either come to your house or come to your business for me, when we started MKL, I used to watch and observe how traditional FM companies would send their engineers out. And for me, those engineers are an extension of you when they're out on site. So they have to be, the basics really, have to be presentable, have to be able to have customer interactions, not just grunt and drag their knuckles on the floor when they're trying to do something and go. So we engage our engineer by just saying, just make yourself presentable and wash your bum. Don't smell when you go to site. Make sure you are a pinnacle of what MKL values are. And for us, this was a little bit of fun because, as I said before, when I first met Sharon from a CX point of view, especially within IoT and implementation businesses such as ourselves, if we were to lift a very traditional textbook CX strategy out and try to put that into our culture, it would be like dropping an Alka-Seltzer in water. It'd just disappear. It just wouldn't work. Whereas for us, we needed to bring our engineers in on this, as well as the management, to get them bought into it, but use those terminologies, use those phrasings, while not losing any of the potency of what we want to do with CX to get it to land so they live it day in and day out. But more importantly, we've got something to hold them account to. So this is part of performance reviews. It's part of how we evaluate people. There are some fun sayings in there. I mean, don't be a dick and don't be shit. That's very traditional within MKL, as in don't be an idiot and be good at your job. That's the basic stuff. And then everything on top of that is the value add for us.
Great, thank you. So customer delight, this is part of the wowing and wowing. So this is just a small thing that we did recently. So it was MKL's second year birthday. So we sent out some handwritten cards and we stamped the back with wax seals with the bee emblem, which is our spirit animal. And these went down an absolute treat. It's surprising the small things that you can do for customers that actually makes such a big difference, and we had lots of notes back saying thank you. So that was just a little thing, but there's lots of things that we do and will be doing throughout the year, and we're very intentional about thinking about each of our different clients, what our latest interaction has been with them, what the relationship might be like in the future, and making sure that we build in time to make sure that we wow them. Okay, so making it easy. So obviously this is what today is about, trying to explain, but also we do that through our social media as well and our digital media. And Mark is fantastic at this. So I've just put a quick video together, hopefully it will work okay, about how our social media works. Let me just flick.
It's always a gamble, isn't it, when you're trying to flip through different media on a Zoom call?
It's not great. Okay, can everyone see that? Can everyone see YouTube? Yeah?
Yeah. But we can't hear anything.
You know?
Yeah, I think, you know, when you press share screen,
Yeah.
there's a button that says share computer audio. I think you're gonna have to like come out of the shared screen and reshare again.
Do you want a job, Jonathan? You're very technical.
No, I'm not. I've just done this before. I've already like messed my webinars up, like just confused, you know, with this sort of situation.
What Jonathan's basically saying there, Sharon, is you're having a shocker.
No, she's doing well. She's doing excellent. You know, I love. Hopefully that's gonna work. Let's try.
Right, let's try again. I'll just.
Did you see that button?
Our IoT-enabled honey factory.
Yeah.
As we go inside, you can see the sensors on the entrance. These turn the lights on inside and trigger an alert to let our team inside know that we have a visitor to welcome. As we approach the door,
I'm just going to pause for a second because when this one transitions into the next video, it's quite loud. So just bear that in mind. Just want to give you a heads up.
the temperature sensor measures our temperature to make sure we are well and don't have a fever that could make others ill. Nope, we're fine. So the door opens and in we go. Let's go to the bee room first. Ah, look, we have 70,000 bees. Here's my colleague, our MD, Mark. All of our bees are busy filling our hives with honey. Our rooms have daylight sensors that turn the lights on when needed and temperature sensors which turn on heating or air conditioning if required to keep our valuable bees and their honey to exactly the right temperature. Now let's go to our production line and say hello to John, our COO. Here we also have temperature sensors. There are sensors on the line to make sure the carts are going the right way, because when we built the production line, they kept bumping into each other. So we have a switch over here that's automatically tripped if the sensors find any jams on the line. The honey is tested for purity, here, bottled and packaged over here. Sensors feed data over to the lab.
Hi everyone, welcome to the exciting world of IoT. In this video we'll be explaining what IoT is and how it can help you. And with the video being just over 5 minutes long, I mean come on, it takes you longer than that to buy a skin on Fortnite. So what is IoT, which means the Internet of Things? Well, the Internet of Things is made up of devices, from simple sensors to smartphones and wearables, all connected together. For example, your smartwatch tracks your steps and health during the day and shows you that information on your phone. Also, let's say you're at school and you're waiting for an important delivery. With IoT, your package will let you know it's there. Your door's watching and it can talk directly to your phone. I mean, I don't know about you, but when the PS5 comes out, I will be watching my door like a hawk for that delivery. And here's that same delivery coming to you at school. No longer do you have to sit there worrying going, has it arrived or not? You'll know. But then also, let's say you've got a pet turtle, like Hero Mutant Ninja Turtles. You can monitor the temperature of the terrarium live. You don't have to be sat there worried thinking, am I going to get home and is Donatello going to still be there? So to summarise on what IoT is, it is all about things connected to the internet. Your laptop can talk to your smartphone can talk to your front door, and your front door can talk to the delivery driver who's delivering the latest goodies. He's delivering the goodies.
Everything I've said, this one for me here is what is our jewel in the crown at MKL. Do not make people important when they are important. They are always important. How many times have you had someone ring you going, oh, can you just do this for me? Oh yeah, of course I will do. Nothing for 6 months. Oh, can you just do this for me? Nothing. We pride ourselves, and I would take the Pepsi challenge anytime, maintaining relationships, that we can do it better than most. By ringing up, how's it going? How's the kids? How's this? How's that? And you'd be surprised how much that lubricates the conversation to push things forward. They are always important. They are not important when they are important.
That is all Mark's work, but that just shows you the different ways that we can reach out to customers and the different ways that we've tried to engage and make it easy for customers. Let me just work.
You gave me a heart attack, Sharon, when that music started. The rhythm got me and I had to go for it.
Yeah, it didn't transition particularly well, which is why I thought I'd give you a bit of a warning. Right, let's go back. Okay, well, there we go. Right, what is IoT? So over to you, Mark.
Take myself off mute. Well, I sort of explained this at the start of it, really. I think when I first started to learn about IoT or understand about IoT, going back a number of years, I went to a Gartner symposium. you don't know who Gartner are, they're a big IT think tank. They do predictions. They come out with some really cool consultancy work on where technology is and where it's potentially going. I remember sitting in a very fancy symposium in Barcelona, and they were talking about IoT. But it's the first time I heard about it. And what was really interesting for me is they talked about all these things that IoT can do. And literally, it was like listening to something from the future. But what really sparked my interest was we then all broke for a coffee breakouts like they like to do at these symposiums. And in that coffee area, you had the CIOs from Starbucks, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, and I think there was also the one from Subway there. And I'm a nosy Parker anyway, so I was sort of gooseberry listening to what they were saying. So I was trying to just be really nosy. But what was fascinating is they all came to the same conclusion, is that this stuff sounds amazing, but I don't understand the application. What does that mean for me as a coffee shop owner? Or what does that mean for me as owning a restaurant, or whatever that might be? So whereas IoT is all about connecting devices, getting them all to connect online, get them all to talk and bi-directional control, that all sounds really fancy. For me, and especially for MKL, what does IoT mean for us? It means integrating and controlling assets on site. So if you are sat in a meeting room and you've got a number of people in there and it's warm, a bit like Christine, Texas, if you go to a meeting room, you're going to have the air conditioning on straight away. Air conditioning is going to be on. Usually when that meeting's over, if it's quite an intense meeting or a boring meeting or people are just switching off, they will leave that meeting room, and it's usually down to the last person to turn everything off, turn the AC off, turn the lights off, close the door. Normally that doesn't happen. People are very busy. So what we can do as a real life application of IoT is we can not only put in occupancy sensors, temperature sensors and controls, we will then know if that meeting room is vacated, nobody's there, the inside that meeting room temperature is 17 degrees, let's say, and outside it's 38 degrees. So we know the AC is on because it's pulling power and the temperature is low. Nobody's in there, so we can then remotely turn that off, or we can set an algorithm to do it remotely. So that is a real life application of IoT. And that's what we need to be careful of with IoT, or when people are speaking to you about IoT. They can wax lyrical about all the things that it could potentially do. But for me, the question I ask is, well, what does that mean for me in my business, in my world, in my operation? And it's the real life applications that are going to help IoT improve your business, but also save you a hell of a lot of money as well.
Yeah, thank you, absolutely. And we talk about some real world applications further along, so that's really helpful. Okay. So looking at IoT through human and customer focus, this is the second bit now. Okay, so I mentioned journey mapping beforehand, and this is definitely a key bit around what we're doing at the moment as we're building out brand new IoT and 5G processes. As we work with different clients, we need to map the whole thing from start to finish and make sure that we really understand the process from a human factor. Okay, so how are IoT and CX connected? I'm just going to get rid of you all so that I can actually see. Okay, so this is just a quick pyramid which gives you a bit of an idea around some of the key bits that stick out when you start connecting IoT and CX. So you can be proactive, you can personalize, you can give fantastic customer insights if you can collect all the data properly. You can make sure you've got full-on omni-channel, especially in retail, which is really important, and you increase customer engagement. So on this screen here, you can see that the example we're using is Fitbit. I don't know if people have used Fitbits, but I certainly have. And from my point of view, that has been such an excellent customer experience to be able to see all of that data around my health and my fitness. It integrates with my daily life in a really easy way. It gives me all the data that I need, and then I interact with that and improve my fitness levels because I've got a Fitbit. So that can really help, and especially when you can create challenges, gamification, all that kind of stuff, get alerts in real time. It's a really great way of seeing how CX can work, and you can make a real difference to somebody's life. And health and fitness is a really good place where IoT is really taking off and really bringing some fantastic benefits, especially around quality life, quality of life for patients. And I think that will just grow more and more as we go into the future, especially where you can use sensors to highlight anomalies quickly. Fever recognition is one that we've been working on, especially with everyone going back into workplaces, airports, etc., large football stadiums, or whatever your business looks like. If you can make sure that you can take somebody's temperature before they enter your building, you've got some way of just recognizing whether or not they might have a fever and whether or not there could be a risk of COVID. So that is an additional thing that you can do very easily, and it's something that we actually provide, but it's based on cameras that scan a crowd or scan a person at a time as they come through a certain area, take their temperature and record any high temperatures that you need to be aware of. It really helps protect, especially if it's in a customer environment where you can make sure that you are taking steps to make it as good as you can for your customers. The other thing, transit management. So I was talking to Mark earlier around the transit of blood samples. We also have talked previously around storage of medicines and making sure that they are kept at a strict temperature, that they are controlled carefully with tamper control. So all of these things are key. And at the moment, without IoT, the only way to do this is manual checking of an insulin fridge, for example. And somebody will go and check it every hour, write down on a bit of paper what the temperature is, and you've got no way overnight, for example, of making sure that it is carefully controlled. So having an IoT sensor with a dashboard and everything around it and alerts to say that everything is still safe is a fantastic way in the health sector that sensors and IoT can instantly be a game changer for them.
And just to add to that, Sharon, especially from an insulin fridge point of view, that was a real life example that we've worked with. It's not just anybody going to check the temperature of that insulin in the fridge. If you imagine a 7 or 8 story hospital, they have insulin fridges on each floor, usually anywhere between 70 to 90,000 pounds worth of stock in each fridge. That's a senior ward person that has to go and check that. And the argument back from the NHS was, well, we need these people saving lives, not going to check stock every single hour. So we were very simple, battery powered wireless sensor connected to a cloud connector and a very simple wireless CT around the power. We can not only know what that fridge has got power, so it's on. We can tell you how many times that door's been opened and closed. We can tell you what the temperature is in that fridge, but more importantly, we can tell you the last time it's been checked. So you're not going to have any issues with stock loss, but more importantly, you haven't got a skilled person who are trained and paid to save lives checking stock. So that's a fantastic application of IoT, which is very simple to do and very cost effective as well.
Great, thank you. And that's a good segue into retail, because you can use the same sensors for stock and replenishment, and also making sure that when a customer comes in, they can see that the shelves are fully stocked, that someone can go and replenish them if not, or if there's slow moving SKUs, that a team of people can change that round and put something that the customers do want. They can also keep an eye on theft prevention by putting sensors around high value items or tracking thefts from the warehouse, shop, or during transit as well. So that's another one for theft. And then smart dressing rooms. So the tech that can be used would be looking at taking measurements of your body shape, and then with an augmented reality screen, you can try on something without actually having to wear it.
That would be very uncomfortable for me. Do they cater for dad bods? Because I don't know if I don't know if I could handle that. And then what would be really interesting is if you could then try on all sorts. I don't know what I look like in a blouse. Really interesting to see.
Okay, so going on to industry. So we talked about asset tracking already, which can be critical to profitability. So we are working on a project at the moment where we are looking at forklift trucks, for instance, and how they move around an area, how they're looked after, or maybe it is printers, especially printers that are rolled around. High value assets, where are they in your business, who's got them, and what stage of their life are they in? Preventative maintenance, that's another key one. I mean, I remember using this at EasyJet. To know what stage of life your mechanical assets are at and when they might break down is crucial to keeping your operation up and running and avoiding downtime, especially if you've got a large industrial kind of business, or you've got machinery that has to run the entire time. Preventative maintenance can be a real game changer.
I remember you saying, Sharon, especially in EasyJet, you've got stores such as you've got wheels of even all the wheels to the aircraft, but they're all dotted around the country, but all over the world. So understanding where that equipment is at any point in time is helpful if you've got planes coming in that might need some repairs, that avoids you missing your valuable slots in terms of takeoff time as well.
Absolutely, yeah, because any delay massively impacts the passengers, and any knock-on in the morning will affect passengers all day long. So trying to not have breakdown because you've thought of preventative maintenance in advance can really make a difference to that schedule. And then there's smart factories. So this is all about making sure that from an efficiency point of view, everything flows correctly and you can collect data and just find the best way of optimizing your factory with everything that you need to make it work correctly. Smart cities, this is another really interesting one. So thinking about lighting. So lighting actually is only there and is actually on when there's movement, for example, or waste management, where an IoT sensor will know whether or not there's actually any waste to pick up, and they can scan the sensor at each location and come and collect it, and then the reports of how much waste there is and work out their schedules around waste delivery. Water supply, making sure there's clean drinking water that is purified at source, and IoT sensors locating any damage in the pipes, for instance, which is going to affect customer drinking water and their water supply. There's also traffic management, which is another big one. I'm sure you can work out how that would all work, but sensors can be used to manage high density areas and conditions and then route people to the least traffic dense routes and avoid traffic jams.
And then if you add 5G on top of that, this stuff goes into hyperdrive. If you take the smart city example, I think I mentioned before, if you have an air conditioning unit or any piece of asset, whatever that might be on your site, talking to your platform saying, I'm okay, I've got a problem. In a 5G world, you will have machines that talk to each other. So the machine in building A, owned by company B, might have a problem, but that machine might then talk to company C in building D and say, I've got the same coil as you. I'm going to actually run a maintenance check on myself and see if I'm going to break down. Oh no, I'm going to break down. I'm going to call someone. That's machine learning, and that stuff is really sexy and exciting, especially when you start to overlay 5G on top of that as well. And 5G is not scary. It's been proven that it is the same radiation, so to speak, as 3 and 4G. So if anybody tells you that 5G is the devil and it's going to fry your brain, it's a lie.
Thank you. So last example we've got for IoT and CX is Disney. I wanted to make sure that everyone I'm sure everyone's been to a theme park, but so this one is around the magic bands that Disney give to their guests. And those sensors can relay all sorts of information about the guests, so such as queue tracking, whether they're shopping, whether they're in queues there, whether they're wandering around, how long they're waiting to get their food, whether they're congesting in certain areas, like in a heat map kind of way. It'll also act as payment method, hotel, key, ticket, which obviously helps from wallet share if all you've got to do is quickly scan rather than carrying all your cash or your cards. But also it does mean that the customer experience can go to the next level, because it's not just around collecting the data, it's about responding in real time. So just like we said in the other examples, if you can respond immediately, you can go and open other checkouts. You can go and help guests who have got stuck in an area of the park that they shouldn't be in and are wandering around lost. Or you can update and send messages to guests around queue times and when the best times to go are, so they can get the most out of their experience and really enjoy the theme park. So that is something we really wanted to stress. IoT is and there's two, or if in my book, there's two parts of it. There's all about collecting the data, which is fantastic, and the analysis of that. But then there is the control part, what you're actually going to do about it. And that is a real game changer in every business. And that's something that's really powerful and exciting for us, especially at MKL.
Do you want to know an interesting fact about Disney, Sharon? Or
Okay.
everybody else's? The Disney do a Disney Institute. Disney's a fantastic company because on the surface it is great at the customer experience, but it is a corporate animal underneath. So they do a Disney Institute. Do you know what the #1 question asked is from a guest at Disney World?
No, go for it.
Can you tell me what time the 3 o'clock parade is? They've answered their own question. And the reason why that is, it comes back to your point, Sharon, it is a very emotional, stressful time for customers at Disney. One, they've saved up and probably sold one of their kids to go there because it's so expensive. But when they are there, they're very overwhelmed. So they are very malleable from a customer point of view. So interactions like that from the cast members are so powerful because they can control them, but also make that experience really special for them as well. But I was blown away by that, absolutely blown away.
Brilliant, thank you. So Q&A time. So hopefully we've answered the majority of the questions that have already come through. But before we go into the very next bit, which will probably only take me 5 minutes to share, I just wanted to spend 5 minutes just seeing if anyone had any additional questions for either myself or Mark. You can put them in the chat if you prefer to do that.
Well, do you want me to answer some of those questions that were in, especially the one around fear and security?
Yeah, so what are the customers' biggest fears about your technology?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily about our technology. I'd say it's about technology in general. Little things such as pre-COVID, conversations around IoT were very good. Post-COVID, the conversations are very good. Bizarrely, people are starting to get used to technology now, even things such as what we're doing now, Zoom and remote working. People are starting to see technology as an enabler. From a bit more of a technical point of view, what people get scared about of IoT is security, but it is a little bit, well, it is quite a big myth in terms of the security of IoT. From a big point of view, if you have enterprise IT networks, systems in place, you've already got those processes there to protect you from any sort of data security issue. What we like to do in our company is we give the client a number of options. So when we install technology, we can either go on their network, if sometimes they're okay with that, depending on what sort of business it is. We've got a big civil engineering company that we're working with at the moment. They don't like any third-party vendors going on their network, so we're creating our own. So we just GSM SIM it. So we just put 4G SIM cards in. I think Sharon also mentioned as well around 5G. There's a quite a large 5G consortium that we're part of now, looking at manufacturing optimization. The other side of that is putting in your own 5G masts and your network that way. Phenomenally expensive, but very secure in that way as well. So from a security point of view, if you already have enterprise IT procedures in place, there's nothing to be concerned about from an IoT security point of view. It is a myth that they think that they are hackable, especially if you create your own network and you 4G SIM that instead of going on their network as well, you are creating your own network in that way. So there's no concerns there. And the last point of that from a security is where you store it. And so we have our system sat on AWS. The reason why we stick it on AWS, Amazon Web Services, is because Amazon have got significantly more cash than we ever would. So their procedures and their safety protocols in place are very robust. And whenever we've had conversations with CIOs around implementing our technology, as soon as we go through that tender process and tick that our servers are sat with AWS, we miss a huge chunk of other questions we need to answer them, because it is proven to be a very robust and secure method to follow.
Great. Any other questions that have come through? Anything burning for anybody?
Yeah, how did you get into this IoT stuff, you know? Like, I always wanted to do a little project for my fish tank, you know, to measure the temperature. Where do you start, Mark?
It's really easy, Jonathan. Again, this comes back to that concern and fear piece as well. There's loads of self-starting IoT kits online. Amazon have got loads. I think they're about 80 quid and £90. give you some temperature sensors, give you a cloud connector. You just plug it in and it will go on your Wi-Fi. If you've got Hive or what's the other one called? Nest, or even Alexa, you've got IoT, really, Jonathan, because that's basically what it is. Alexa connects to certain things in your house. You tell it what to do. That's IoT. So it's not as big and as scary as people think. But there are loads of things out there, and I'll send them around afterwards with a link of this, of where you can find some really cool, cheap IoT sensors to get you going. And then if you get the bug, then it just goes on and on and on. When myself and my business partner first started this, we've got some understanding of technology, but nothing in regards to what we know now. So it was a painful learning process. But as I said at the start, it was born out of frustration. So we needed to do something a little bit different. And then we learned along the way. Trial and error. We've had some shockers and we've also had some successes as well. But that's the whole point of the journey.
Excellent. Thank you.
Excellent question, Jonathan. Thank you. We've just had someone join us literally just now. What I'll do is I'll make sure that if we've got your details, I'll send you out the full webinar so that you can see the rest of what you've missed.
You missed all the dancing. You missed all the vibing. I mean, my business partner, he took his top off. You missed that.
I missed that. Cool. Okay, that's it for Q&A, unless anybody has anything they want to then shout now. Key takeaways. And I thought it'd be good if people don't mind sharing. I'm just very aware I've got a big spider in here. It's just running around. Sorry if I look a bit distracted.
Burn it down. Burn everything down right now.
If I just run, you know why. Key takeaways. If people don't mind sharing, just a couple of you, some of the key takeaways that you've taken from today, or put them in the chat, then I would really appreciate that. Otherwise, I'm going to be forced to do it.
And while people are chatting about that, I think it's important in terms of the CX and IoT part. IoT can be very dangerously positioned, and what I mean by that is it is very, very easy to sell an IoT dream, which quickly turns into a nightmare. And that is the key differentiator, and that is why CX is so important with IoT. People need to understand what they're getting, what they want, how they're going to get it, what that looks like. If there is some fear around IoT and they're not sure, what are those touch points of bringing them along? I just thought that was general customer services, but I was quickly educated on the fact that that is not customer services, that's your bread and butter stuff. It's about CX. And ever since we've overlaid CX into our IoT strategy and how we deliver it, our business has flew ever since then. I genuinely believe that. I'm a CX convert. If there was a church of CX, I'd be there every Sunday praying. I am definitely a big believer in this.
Brilliant, thank you. And thank you for the people who've put stuff in chat as well. I really appreciate that. So Christy is saying it's all about the people behind and in front of the technology. Absolutely, you're dead on there. John is saying culture is key, definitely, and I hope you can really feel the culture today. Steph, it's been great to see or hear some of the real life examples of how it can be applied. That's great, thank you. Jonathan, fantastic to present the target behaviours to bring the CX strategy to life. Brilliant, thank you, that's great feedback. Steph, love the service behaviours, thank you. Luke, make your CX strategy relatable to those who have to live and breathe it. Absolutely, yeah, you've really got the point of why we did that. Excellent, thank you very much. So the very last thing I wanted to share with you was our microsite. So let me just go to that, and I will send you this out. Oh, I keep forgetting I have to stop sharing one and then move to the next. Share screen. Okay, so this is our microsite. Let me just see if I can make this full screen. Okay, so this, I will send this out to you. Sorry, let's click on this one. There you go. But this tells you what we've done. There's a lovely picture of me. Let's move on swiftly. These are the two behaviours that I've already shown you, the strategy and the service behaviours, if anyone wants to have a go and look. There's a little video there around one of the hexagons where Mark is talking about don't roll a turd in glitter, but you've just heard the basics of it, but feel free to go and listen to a bit more. It's only a couple of minutes long. And then bit more about our sandbox. So our sandbox is the way that we build our IoT platform, and once I send you this out, you can actually go and play on our sandbox, and on our sandbox link there is a customer feedback form which we'd really appreciate if you guys have a quick look on and just give us our feedback, because that is how we build our IoT platform around the users. And that is something that I think is really important for a tech business, to design everything you do and your products around the customer. So everything is the IoT and the CX come together, especially in our sandbox. I won't click on it because we're about to run out of time, but you can go into there. The other bit that we focus on particular customers at particular times. The focus that we've had over the last month is very much about our facilities management providers and how we help them be a lot more digital. And we've built a specific site especially for that customer demographic. So if you click on this one, you'll be able to go into there and see exactly how we tailor what we do for that particular customer type. Customer journey mapping, customer testimonial. So that's all on there. There's a little bit around security as well. We have a chapter published in a book, which is now live. You can purchase the book or you can win the book. So do go and go for it and fill in this form and submit to us if you'd like to have a go at winning the book. So hopefully that's a little bit of value add for you. And then I'm just gonna have to move my face out of the way. Hold on. If you go into here, you can contact us, which would be lovely. But also if you click here, and nobody else knows about this, I'm sharing this Easter egg with you all live today. If you click here, you can go into our content calendar. And this is just a little bit of fun, but behind every single one of these links is something around CX. So there's podcasts, there's stuff about user interface, there's customer service videos from Zappos, there's podcasts, there's all sorts of things. There's fun, there's insights, there's stuff from the lovely James Dudkins. There's all sorts of things on here. So there's lots to kind of get your teeth into and really skill yourself up on CX if it's still quite new to you. So hopefully that is useful, but just click on that on the picture in the content bit and you'll be able to see exactly what that is. But I will share this with everyone afterwards. Okay, so that brings us to a close. Let me just try and make you big again. Hopefully that's been useful to you, but do drop into the comments if there's anything else or any feedback you'd like to give. But thank you very much for joining us today.
Can I ask, does anybody want to hear a joke to end on? Jonathan, do you want to do a joke with me?
Go on, go for it.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow.
No!